your fingers, because this might not work.
Oh, Restream's got stuff coming through.
Fantastic.
YouTube's got stuff coming through. Twitch's got stuff coming through. YouTube's got... And...
Might not work.
We've got audio going through to both.
Brilliant.
Marvellous. Good day, everybody on the Suffolk Rams.
Skazz.
Welcome to episode 159 of the Iran Nerds podcast.
Oh my god, 59.
Yeah, 59. Yeah, we need it at 60.
It's amazing.
What are we going to do when we get to 100, Skazz?
I don't know, mate. I think we should go to...
North Korea or something.
Yeah, that's where we should go to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because... Yeah. And stuff. Because just think, you never know, we might end up in lockdown at some point, so we won't be able to go anywhere because of some kind of dodgy global crisis.
I have a feeling that I have a feeling in a few years' time, in 2020, there's going to be a massive problem.
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not talk it up, mate.
Yeah. I just checked the I watched the sheep, and the sheep moved round and formed a weird shape, and it's formed like this ball with little spikes all off it. And they rearranged themselves into 2020. Wow. And then to rearrange themselves to look like a face mask. I couldn't figure it out, Skazz. I can't figure it out.
It's never a good sign when nature's telling us, mate, something might be going on.
It was the pointing and laughing afterwards I didn't particularly appreciate.
Yeah, but they do that a lot. We just never usually notice it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's overt. I don't want them doing it behind my back. But when they overtly do it, that's a bit disturbing.
Well... They just decided that this one was worth breaking character for.
Yeah, they have. Yeah. Turns out we are the dumbest animals on the entire planet. Every other animal in the species out there just plays along, just for the sake of it.
That is it, because they know that we've got really low self-esteem. It's just like, oh, bless. And it's like, look what we're doing.
They find it cute.
They do. They're like patting us on their head. Oh,
I would do.
Good old nature.
Indeed. Right, anyway, back to the real world.
Hey. I liked that world. It was good.
Yeah. How's your snow-filled week been, Skazz?
I've been shoveling most of it.
Yeah.
If I had to be, like, I've done nothing has realistically changed for me other than I've almost gone arse over tit more times than I can count.
Yeah. For international listeners who may not be aware, UK had a small snow shower this week and the whole country ground to a halt.
Yep.
As is always the case when it snows for more than 10 minutes, the country grinds to a halt because we simply are not set up for it.
Nope. Although, do you know, it was really weird, right? I was doing some stuff out of the house the other day. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail. But a load of, like, the older generations came by and started talking to me. And they were like, basically, once upon a time, back in my day, we actually used to have people around who would sort this stuff out. And I'm thinking to myself, wow. What you're saying is you had people back in the day who were willing to do a bit of hard work to clear snow. Right?
Yeah.
Since then, we've had budget cuts.
Yeah. Indeed.
And now we just all sit at home and complain that it's cold and we can't get out because, well, not including the pandemic, obviously, but, you know, mate, there's some snow.
It was like double lockdown, wasn't it? It's like, don't go out because of the pandemic and don't go out because it's snowing. It's double lockdown.
And you'll break both your legs just by stepping on your doorstep.
Yeah.
And don't try and clean it up because if you do and someone falls over, you're liable. I'm not a lawyer, but I've been told you really shouldn't clean the path outside your house because if you don't do it right and someone slips, they'll have a go. It's like, well, I'd like to see them try. It's like if I clean it and they don't fall ass over tit, they're not going to complain. If I kind of stuff it up a bit, well, if I didn't clean it, they were definitely going to fall ass over tit.
I've been semi-reliably informed that is a bullshit myth.
I was going to say I thought as much. I thought it's the same as when people do CPR, and during the compressions, they're like, "Oh yeah, well you're going to break their ribs. Someone can sue." It's like, honestly, what judge in the world would actually let that go through on the grounds that you saved the person's life.
We're told when I've done every time I've done health and safety training, first aid. That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one.
This is why I'm not allowed to do it anymore. Every time we did the first aid training, we got told: A, if you don't break a rib, you're not doing it properly. B, that story that if you basically hurt someone, injure them while trying to save their life, they can sue you. It's bullshit.
Yeah, they can't do it. Like I couldn't imagine a judge ever taking that through.
No,
you know what I mean?
People have tried, but no judge has ever allowed the case to go ahead. They just throw it immediately because they don't want to discourage people from actually doing emergency first aid.
Sure. I just think that's hilarious, though. Like, you'd sue someone for saving your life, or you'd take someone to court for saving your life because you got hurt. So, well, would you rather be hurt or dead? But
you know what people are like, though. If they can sniff, people out there, if they can sniff a bit of money.
Well, it's the same with like. Can I be controversial here? It's the same with vaccines and autism. So, what would you rather have, an autistic child or a dead child?
I think you speak to some of those people, they'll actually say, "Well, I'll have a dead child."
Then, mate,
they clearly don't. They don't know what autism is like, and
they just don't get it.
Yeah. So, but that's because they're people idiots. People are idiots. People are selfish.
I agree.
Is what it comes down to. It's what it comes down to. Simple as that. So, but yeah, it's been a fun old week. I got Monday morning. I was laying in bed, and a message goes out from work. Well, stock in Norwich. We can't get there because they've closed off like the A146, which is like the only road between here and Norwich, effectively.
Yeah, A146.
No other road.
A146, yeah.
But if you can't get down A146, you're probably not going to get down anything else. 2 lorries in a bus have got stuck. Yep, good. So we get. So they're basically saying, "Can someone go in?" So they'd already met someone else nearby who's on holiday. And I well, I'll go in. I'm literally nearby, so I literally got out of bed. 5 to 7, threw some clothes on, got on my car. My 2-minute journey took me nearly 15 minutes to get there. Yeah, because it was just creeping around like 10 miles an hour. Got there, and then no one got in for the rest of the day. No one could get in. So basically, it was me running the show on Monday, but me and my colleague running the show, basically.
Good job. Congratulations. I just want to throw out there the hilarity in my head as you said, yeah, mate, they tried to call someone else, but they were on holiday. I'm like, I get what you're saying. They're off work. If you're saying to me they're actually on holiday away from home,
no, they're not.
Then I was like, wait a minute, what happened to this pandemic?
They are, you're right the first time. They are on holiday from work. They are not meant to be there. But I was on day off.
Sure.
So, but I got in, and obviously went in on Tuesday, and one of the guys managed.
They took the call while sat in their back garden on a lie-low in a Hawaiian shirt with a reflector. Nah, mate, I'm on holiday. They got the little rubber ring around them, the little giraffe rubber ring.
Floating on the snow. Yeah, I can't come in. I've gone to the Arctic for holiday. But the roads were terrible, to be fair. Firstly, the roads were absolutely horrendous.
No, I agree.
And there were people coming. We saw about 3 and a bit. Do you remember the Beast from the East?
Yeah.
So the following winter, after the Beast from the East, we got livid. Something like 150 bags of grit to basically sell. They think it's going to be another bad winter. We have not sold. We didn't sell any. We sold about 6 bags that sort of winter. 2019, we sold about 5 bags. 2020, we sold about 4 or 5 bags. We sold out on Monday.
Oh, good job. Good job.
Thank fuck for that. Those 3 pads been sat going back and forth in our yard for the best part of 3 years. They've finally gone.
They're finally gone. Good.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind, though, that there are some people out there who won't actually clean the path outside their houses. It really does my nut in. And all I can think of is literally all these people going, yeah, but you'll get sued. Someone will take you to court. It's like, fuck off. Just clean the path, goddammit. Like, we'd all be able to move about if you'd clean the path outside your house.
I think in America, in the snowy parts of America, but when parts which get snow regularly, all the plans for it. I think it's actually a requirement. You have to, like the bare path in front of your house, you have to clear that part.
Sure, I can imagine that.
And then everybody has to do it. Therefore, it's kept clear. But I believe that is the case. So I've seen people on like Reddit talk about how they have to go and clear their path every day and the sidewalk every day. So
strange people over there, aren't they?
Yeah, but then when you get snow for like 2-3 months of the year, you're going to get it every year consistently. Then it sort of makes sense to have those rules in place. As I said, the reason we've grown to a halt is we're just not ready for it. We're not set up for it. And to be fair, most years we don't need to be. I think this is the worst snow. This is the Beast from the East. It's the worst one we've had, really. So, I mean, other workplace has been horrendous. They got they couldn't actually get out of their farm on Monday.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's just about out of the way, isn't it? So
because on the north coast, they got it hit direct. They couldn't get out of their driveway. The town just down the road from them. Cars got buried in snow. To the point was when they're trying to plow it out, they're having to send people ahead with shovels to basically prod the strips, make sure they weren't about to drive into a car.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, and then they had to obviously pull cars and stuff out to get through. Let me put it this way: I was there yesterday and I was there today. It's still nearly all there. It's still pretty much all there. I drove down the road today, and the drifts on the side of the road where the plows have been through were tall as my car.
Damn.
That's how bad it's up there. I got stuck in a snowdrift. I had to dig myself out of a snowdrift today. Bear in mind that around where we are, it's almost starting to it's starting to clear properly now. It's not realistically, apart from like on the grass and stuff, a lot of the pavements are now clear. At least where I am. I know you're just a bit up the road from me, but
no, around here is terrible.
Is it really so bad?
Literally just down the road from you, Ram. You'll break your legs if you're not careful.
Yeah. Most of our paths are pretty much cleared now. Roads are pretty much clear. But yeah, up that end, no, horrendous. It is just I had to dig myself out of snow, a drift today. That blown over last night. So I couldn't get through that. I got stuck in that. The war troughs. I'll send you a video later through Discord. Unfortunately, if you can't enjoy this, of me going to one of the war troughs and using a screwdriver to try and break through the ice, and the ice was so thick, it took me about a minute to break through it. And when I pulled a chunk out, the chunk was over an inch thick.
Oh, there you go. Good job.
Yeah, solid ice, an inch thick. I don't recall ever seeing it that bad.
That's a good thing you were there, mate.
It is. That's why they have me here. But they've had a horrendous week up there trying to fight. It was literally taking them all day just to go around and feed everything because it's just constant. Yeah. Absolutely horrendous that they've had up there. So
fingers crossed it clears up soon.
Yeah, well, it's meant to rain up there tonight and tomorrow, so that should clear a lot of it.
Hopefully.
And then the ground will be muddy as hell again, so you still won't be able to get wet anywhere because the ground will be so muddy you can't move.
Either slip and break both your legs or drown in a sea of mud.
Pretty much. So, right. The exciting part then, games.
None, I'm afraid.
No, you have not. You've been dabbling in many things, but not in depth of any of them.
I've not really played anything over the last couple of weeks. I said I was going to, and I've had a few little projects, but stuff has been so scattered, I've not actually been able to like sit down and sink my teeth into anything. So like I'll launch something, I'll dick around in it for half an hour, I'll close it off. We've been trying to get like net play working on classic emulators.
Yeah.
One specifically the PlayStation Portable, so that we could play Monster Hunter Freedom, which is a remake of Monster Hunter 1. We've been trying to play that online. Because I've only ever played that game. I was playing it back when we were in uni, Ram, and back in college.
Back in the day.
Yeah, that's how old it is. I was playing it back then. Actually, probably when we were in AVCE, to be honest with you, mate.
Oh, fucking hell.
But I'd never been able to play it multiplayer because not many people I knew had PlayStation 2s for net play, because originally it was a PlayStation 2 game. Like, not many people had the old LAN adapter, the big old beefy LAN adapter.
Yeah, I remember those.
And then they remade it for the PlayStation Portable, the little Sony handheld thing. But then I only ever knew like 2 people with a PSP, and only like one of those maybe had Monster Hunter. And because the only way to play would be to actually sit in the same room as them and set up an ad hoc network, I didn't have much of a chance to play multiplayer in it. So all these years later, you can actually emulate the game and kind of fluff an ad hoc network over the interwebs.
Yeah.
You could do that with the PlayStation 3 and PSP games back in the day as well, but yet again, it would be a case of how many of my friends do I know that have the PSP, the game you want, and a PlayStation 3 to set up a dodgy, because they had an app called like Ad Hoc Party, so you could connect to the PlayStation in ad hoc mode, then it would connect to another server, and then other people would connect to their PlayStations that would connect to the server, and then make a faux. Yeah. I didn't know anyone, so for the first 2 going on 3 Monster Hunter games, I only played them through single player, and we're just trying to get it to work these days, so I can actually finally play those first 2 or 3, depending on how you slice it, multiplayer, because there's a new Monster Hunter coming out next month, and I'd like to go through them, but we're working on it. But so far, it's a bit hit and miss.
How many Monster Hunters have there been?
We counted well over 9.
I'll say it's one of those series that just seem to have dozens and dozens of. I know it's an exaggeration, but
so
just seem to have constantly new versions.
Monster Hunter came out in 2004, I believe. We got it in the UK in 2005 for Monster Hunter 1. They made the PlayStation 2 game and the PSP game. Then they made Monster Hunter 2, PS2 game and a PSP game. Then they made Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, which was an additional to Monster Hunter Freedom 2, which is Monster Hunter 2 but on PSP. We don't really include that, so you got 2 so far. But Japan got Monster Hunter Portable 3rd, which was a different game entirely. Right, so you got 3. Monster Hunter Tri, which came out on Nintendo Wii. It says 4. It's starting to get weird, right? Right.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter 3U. We won't include that, though, because that's technically Monster Hunter Tri, just rezzed up. Monster Hunter 4. Monster Hunter Cross, I believe. What else was there? Monster Hunter Cross. Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter Rise. And then there have been a bunch of like little spin-off games, Monster Hunter Stories, and other bits and bobs. And then if you were to include stuff like Unite, 3U, or 3 Ultimate, the Monster Hunter Generations, which was our version of Monster Hunter Cross, there's, probably 10 or 11 games. They come out every few years. I mean, Monster Hunter World came out in 2018, I think. Monster Hunter Rise is only now coming out this year, so every few years you get a new variants with new mechanics or slightly tweaked mechanics, new monsters. It's a really old series, but it surprises me that most people don't know Monster Hunter even exists. Like I said, I've been playing it since 2004, 2005, and it turns out that a lot of people only really started playing back in 2018, 2019 when Monster Hunter World came out. And so if a game comes out on another system that looks worse than Monster Hunter World, people go absolutely mental.
Is that because it's more? Is it more popular in because obviously it's Japanese? Is it more popular in like Japan, more Asian countries? It's less. It only sort of got popular more recently. Yeah,
well, over here it was largely unknown. I don't know how. The thing is, though, I don't understand how it was unknown because it came out on PlayStation 3, which was a reasonably big console. So it came out on PlayStation 2, huge console over here. PlayStation Portable, not so big, but still came out on PlayStation Portable. Came out on PlayStation 3. came out on Nintendo Wii, Nintendo Wii U, Nintendo 3DS is huge. Now Nintendo Switch, and yet people are like, what's Monster Hunter? Their Monster Hunter World came out on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, and that's the one that everyone seemed to jump on. Loads of people just seem to ignore all of the prior entries. I don't know why, but World was the one that changed up the formula the most. And then every other game that has come since World, so Monster Hunter Double Cross, Monster Hunter Generations, Monster Hunter Rise, plays a lot more like classic Monster Hunter, because if you look at, so I call classic and World, right? If you look at any other previous entry in Monster Hunter, they all pretty much look the same. Mechanically, they function near enough the same. Map systems are the same. Your maps are set up into different screens or zones with loading screens in between. That's been the same in every Monster Hunter game. The games all look like they come off like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 era kind of stuff. It's only World that was the big one, the pretty one. Yet because the majority of the fan base comes from Monster Hunter World, they seem to think that everything else is a downgrade. I mean, it kind of is, but Monster Hunter World was actually really just a one-off upgrade. Monster Hunter World is the weird one of the group. So I think Capcom are having a bit of trouble now trying to get the new fan base, or the current fan base, to realize, by the way, you do know this series is over a decade old. Yeah. And the new games look exactly like how they always have. It's the one that you guys played that was the weird one with all the dodgy easy mode mechanics. Like, oh, this Monster Hunter is really hard. It's like, yeah, they've all been like that. Monster Hunter World was the one that had the difficulty curve kind of squished, and the graphics from Monster Hunter World looks very pretty. I wish every Monster Hunter game looked like Monster Hunter World, but they don't. It is a big popular series in Japan. They've even got like cafes, Monster Hunter cafes in Japan. But then that's not all that weird considering they've got like maid cafes and stuff in Japan. But
so they do like their themed cafes in Japan, don't they?
Yeah, for sure.
And they must spaz the Americans for themed stuff.
Yeah, but Japan does it properly, whereas America's just like, hey, look, it's a Harley Davidson themed restaurant. No one cares.
Yeah, well, who cares about Harley Davidsons?
That's it. Like, no one cares. No one cares. Oh, hey, look, it's this. No one cares. Japan, though, they're like, hey, maid cafe. Who doesn't love a lassie in a maid's outfit? Other than, I don't know, someone's wife.
Presumably.
But, it's I love the series. I love Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter World was the one that I fell out with because of how different it was and how easy it was. But there's been...
It makes you wonder if the series it makes you wonder if it's going to be one of the series that sort of like almost slightly diverges. There'll be like Monster Hunter World 2 that'll keep to that sort of mechanics. You have the other monsters that can turn that almost like be two paths of it form.
Well, yeah, I do wonder, because, I mean, they've since released... Well, okay, I'll say this, because I've ranted about this in previous Rand Nerds episodes, but Monster Hunter Generations is, over here, is the Japanese game Monster Hunter Double Cross, which was a Nintendo Switch game, which was a remake of a 3DS game. So Monster Hunter Cross became Monster Hunter Double Cross once it got put on Nintendo Switch, and then it sat in limbo. Then Monster Hunter World came out. Now, it should be noted, we had the English translation for that game already on 3DS, but they never released the Switch version. They just didn't release it until Monster Hunter World proved to be incredibly successful. And then all of a sudden, oh, hey, look, here's the English version. We can make money! Yeah, that was basically it. Hey, we can print some money. And then they finally released the English version on the Switch. It's like, it's the exact same... You've already got the translation. You've had the translation since like 2017. What's taking you so long? And they're like, well, we don't think it's going to sell, blah, blah, blah. Monster Hunter World comes out, blows Monster Hunter sales records out the water.
We were so convinced it wasn't going to sell that we got it translated into English.
Well, no, but they released it on the DS, on the 3DS.
All right.
But that's the trick. So when the Switch version came out, it's like, well, why haven't you released the translated version for Switch? Because you've already got the translation on the 3DS. What's the hold up? There's nothing. You haven't changed anything between the two versions. What's going on? Because traditionally, what they let you do is on some of the Monster Hunter games, especially the ones that have like "you" in the title or whatever, you can actually move your character from the portable version to the console version, right? So it's like so you've already got these translations available. Why aren't you using them? Monster Hunter World comes out, as I say, blows sales records out the water for Monster Hunter games. I mean, by a fucking huge amount, like millions and millions sold. And they're like, we're sitting on a translation for a Switch game, and the Switch is selling like hotcakes. Let's release it. Let's release that. Let's patch it up and release it. But yeah, then they released Iceborne, which was a big old expansion. Apparently, that's like almost a game's worth of content on top of Monster Hunter World. So you might actually be right there, Ram. You might end up having, two different pathways of Monster Hunter. Yeah, to be honest. But I've not seen anything since Iceborne coming out in that style. Because Iceborne is technically a DLC. But I mean, what would they have? Like World 2?
Presumably.
Maybe. I don't actually think there have been that many direct sequels to Monster Hunter games.
But if they wanted to sort of like appease the split, as you say, it's sort of split between the casual and the hardcore. I don't know those terms, but if you wanted to say, let's make one more casual for air quotes, the casual people, if we call it Monster Hunter World 2, we flag it as this is Monster Hunter World, the game you liked. You didn't like the other Monster Hunters, but this one's a sequel to that specific one you liked. Yeah. You'll like this one.
I just still can't believe that a game was out for so long and no one knew it existed. That it had that many games beforehand, and it wasn't until it came out on like PlayStation 4 that people were like... Because I had a mate of mine come up to me and goes, "Oh, mate, have you seen that new series that's out, Monster Hunter?" And I'm like, "New?" So I was playing that back on PlayStation 2, and they're like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, it's ancient. Monster Hunter's ancient." I was like, "Oh, well, Monster Hunter World looks really cool." And I'm like, "You're just playing a game that I've been playing now for over a decade." So...
Stop being such a hipster, Skazz. Stop being such a hipster. I was playing Monster Hunter when it was cool.
Well, I've got to say, though, like I say, Monster Hunter World is really pretty, but it is so easy.
Yeah.
But going back to the old school style of Monster Hunter, I mean, I almost got wrecked. It's great. Look, I think that a lot of Monster Hunter world players, will probably actually find it quite a leap to go back to the old style, where the game doesn't just go, the monster's over there, like Monster Hunter World does. In Monster Hunter, the classic Monster Hunters, you actually had to hunt the monster.
Yes.
You actually had to look for it and tag it, track it with paintballs and all that, and traps and that kind of stuff. None of that in Monster Hunter World. The game just literally tells you where it is and then you go kill it.
It sounds like it treads the very fine line with the tougher games between challenging and frustration. There are games which are tough, but they very much can fall into the frustrating side of things and makes them unenjoyable. But then there's the other side, which is it's tough, it's hard, it's challenging, but I'm enjoying the fact that it's tough and hard and challenging.
So I think in the case of Monster Hunter World, so traditionally in Monster Hunter, you'd get 50 minutes a hunt. And I mean, there were times when we would play classic Monster Hunter and you'd be on, 45 minutes, and you still couldn't see the end of the hunt in sight. Whereas Monster Hunter World, you could literally run in there and murder the monster within, a couple minutes? 10 minutes? 15 minutes? If that, in some cases. They really did make it more casual, more pick up and play. There are a lot more quality of life enhancements that they felt needed to be made. Like, hey, what if you start a hunt solo, but you're not actually strong enough to do it, you can send up an SOS flare, which will then connect you to the internet to allow other people to join your game, which has never been a thing before, and then they can help you fight the monster. That was an okay feature, I guess, but wasn't necessary. I mean, I guess if you were like desperately in need of stopping finishing a quest, I don't know. They made it a lot easier. I can see where some of the features, like, so to track a monster in Monster Hunter Classic, you'd actually have to run around the map and look for it. In Monster Hunter World, you just had to look for footprints, and you could be sprinting full speed and just keep on spamming the old look button or examine button. Your character would barely, in some games where you kind of stagger steps, so you're running full speed and then you kind of go half speed for a split second and then you pick up momentum again.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter did that if you were to try and... Monster Hunter World did that if you were trying to, like, harvest, examine, stuff like that. So, like, instead of, like, in classic Monster Hunter, I want to harvest. You'd then get down on your hands and knees and you'd start kind of pulling apart bushes and stuff like that to grab things you needed to get, which would take time and leave you open to monster attacks. In Monster Hunter World, you just fucking sprint, full speed, spam the examine button, and you would like literally just grab that one mystical thing you needed to get off the tree, or out of the beehive, or examine that rock, or whatever. You managed to do it near enough at full speed. Even healing in Monster Hunter World, you could heal as you were sprinting. So there was never really any risk in Monster Hunter World. They really reduced the amount of thought you had to put into a hunt.
They cut back on the risk reward aspect of it.
Yeah. But again, it's very pretty. It was a lot more action-packed and fast-paced, and I can understand why people liked that, but to me, that just wasn't what made Monster Hunter.
Refurbishing just said slowly luring in Ram to play Monster Hunter.
Wow.
I was going to say to you, is it worth us putting it into our game night rotation?
If you wanted to play Monster Hunter at the moment, well, I mean, we could play Monster Hunter World because it's currently on sale on PC for about 16 quid, and I do own it on PC because it melted my PlayStation 4.
Good.
And my Xbox. For a guy that doesn't like Monster Hunter World very much, I definitely put my money in and I put my time in.
I actually do that with a lot of the games. I hate this game. I own on 6 different platforms.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed. I used to love Assassin's Creed, and then I hated them after the second one, yet for some reason I own them all on every other platform too.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. Yeah, I mean, we could put it into the rotation. World would be an easier one to start. If you wanted to try a Monster Hunter Classic game, once me and Divine get the old PlayStation Portable emulator netplay thing working, we can take a crack at that as well, so you can see what an actual hard Monster Hunter game is like.
I think our signature is let's play a game and let's watch us get absolutely trounced at it.
Yeah, that's the you can't get trounced in Monster Hunter World.
Exactly.
I took the piss out of people in Monster Hunter World. I said, look, when you die in Monster Hunter, it's called carting. You get thrown onto the back of like a little cart, and the little cat palico things pull you away from the monster and heal you up. I said to people, if you cart 3 times in a hunt, by the way, you fail. I said, if you cart more than like 10 times before you get to the hard difficulty in Monster Hunter World, take your control pad, put it the fuck down, and go away. Because in Monster Hunter World, that entire first segment of the game is basically a tutorial. It is so easy, yet if you cart in that, just quit. Just quit. You got no skills, son. No skills. Get the fuck out. You're done. All right, we'll add World to our rotation. We'll have to see if we can convince Zaber into getting it.
And so ends our very short stint into Monster Hunter World, where we all die in the first mission.
Mate, if you guys die at the start of Monster Hunter World, I would be so fucking disappointed in you. I would be so disappointed. By the way, I ain't starting a new character. I'm going to go in geared up like a fucking tank. So, although I didn't play that much Monster Hunter World on PC, because that was when my fan was dying in my laptop. It's weird. Wait, Monster Hunter World's killing my hardware.
Yeah, I'm going to want to install some on my machine.
You'll be fine.
It's basically a It's basically seems like it's got a virus built into it by the sounds of it.
Well, Ram, I'd like to hear your opinions on it because it looks beautiful on PC.
Yeah,
looks fantastic. And then I'll speak to you more about the quality of life stuff in it after the fact, because then you'll understand. If we play both,
yeah,
I think you'd understand some of the quality of life stuff, because I think in some cases that game is too beautiful for classic Monster Hunter rules to apply. And I'll explain to you why if we actually play it, or you'll probably see why.
Yeah, I'll look at pick it up.
It's on sale. Get it.
Skazz, I just spent best part of 1,200 quid getting my car repaired.
Oh, who needs cars? You got legs.
I'll walk
it's
all the way.
snowing. You can't go anywhere.
I can. I've got a 4-wheel drive car.
Well, that's your own fault, isn't it?
The things that it failed on, because it had its cam belt and forward pump done. That was 600 quid.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I think it's like 550 just to have the cam belt done, or 600 to have the wall pump done, and they actually got to take the cam belt off to get to the wall pump anyway. You might as well do it at the same time. So I got that one done. Had 2 new front tires, because one tire was below tread, the other one was described as dangerous. So got those both replaced. Glow plug got replaced. Oh, they tried to screw me on the glow plugs because I took it in. I knew there was a glow plug wrong with it.
Yeah.
So I took it in and said glow plug number 4 has got a fault on it. And I said I need to replace it. Okay, we'll do it for you. I then get a phone call saying, because basically what they did was, now they don't know this. So last year, that glow plug has been faulty for nearly 2 years. Last year, I was going to change it myself, but I had the MOT come up. I didn't want it to fail the MOT, because if it's got a warning light on the dash, it fails the MOT. So I got my code reader I have for my car, plugged in and reset it and erased all the codes.
Yeah.
That glow plug would only error if it had a cold start. On a warm day, it wouldn't error. So first start of the day, it would give you an error, but then once it was warm, you could reset it, clear it, and you wouldn't get any more errors again. So what I did was, I started the car up in the morning, let the car warm up a bit, turned it off, got the code reader, erased the code, turned the car back on so it was not on there anymore, took it straight there. They took it in, MOT'd and passed it because the error code wasn't on there anymore, and off it went. That's how I got through the MOT last year.
You cheeky bastard.
Look, the rule says a warning light on the dashboard. There was no warning light on the dashboard at that point, therefore it passed.
In fairness, mate, I've known some people to do some really dodgy shit to get through an MOT. In fact, I've even known mechanics to do dodgy shit to get things through an MOT. Yeah.
Well, what they did this time was they put it on. They saw that they erased the code themselves, and Webber said, "Well, we've raised the code to see if it repeats. It hasn't, so we're going to do MOT without the code being there, and see if it comes back." So they did the MOT. That's when they told me that, oh yeah, your tires are basically death traps, and your front washer jet that pops out washes your, because I've got high intensity discharge lamps on mine. By law, they have to be self-leveling, and they have to have washer jets that spray them clean, because if you get a little bit of dirt on them, it upsets the beam pattern and can make them dazzle people. So not long after I got the car, someone reversed into and broke one of the washer jets. So what I used to do every sort of like time I was going to drive, I would get a cloth and just wipe over the affected light, and that was my washer. So that was fine. It doesn't get dirty that quick. So MOT was coming up last year. So me and my friend, we got to get to the MOT. So we opened up, got to the bit which we managed to get some contact adhesive on the bit that was broken and a cable tied around it and fix it, enough to get it through the MOT. And it did actually work about 6 months after that. We got it working about 6 months after that, fine. And then broke again. So that went in, that failed its MOT on that. I knew it was going to fail on that. That was 150 quid for that part. The 2 tires were 133 quid each.
Yeah. The
glow plug was 55. The MOT was 40. And I think that was everything that had to be done to it. Oh, and the day before it got MOT'd, I had to get Autoglass out to replace the windscreen. It's the third windscreen I've had in a year, because it was going to fail on the windscreen.
How the fuck do you keep breaking your windscreen?
Right, first windscreen, I don't know what happened to that. It had a crack in it. It happened in January last year. crack happened, and it just went across the windscreen. So that got placed January last year.
Crack always happens if a slip from your bonnet up your windscreen.
Yeah,
you're doing it too hard.
So that went straight across the windscreen. They got that replaced. About 6 months later, if that, 6-7 months later, driving on the road, another car hits up a stone, cracks the windscreen again. It was unfortunately another proper crack, and this was 7 months later. So I was on holiday at the farm at the time because I was working there, so all above board. And so I had to get someone to come out there and replace it there. And they came and took it out, replaced the glass screen there. They're done. 2 weeks later, driving on the road, lorry in front of me, hits a stone, flings up and chips it. 2 weeks later. Now, the chip was technically in my driver's eye line, but it's below my eye line, so I could see over it. From my point, for me driving, I could see over it. However, by law, that whole where your steering wheel is, that whole section, your windscreen, up into where your windscreen wipers go, that's considered part of your driver's viewport. If any chip is on there and it can't, that's considered a failure. So, Autoglass can repair chips up to 10 millimeters. This chip was 11 millimeters. So at the time, I was like, fuck it. I'm not having another. I literally had this screen in place 2 weeks ago. If it gets worse, I'll get it changed. Otherwise, it can stay there until the MOT comes around. Of course, I left it too late and forgot about it, and then had to rush around and get the MOT. The guy that came the day before the MOT is to replace the windscreen again. So yeah, 3 windscreens. That car has 3 windscreens. Obviously, I put one more with it. I've killed, I don't know how many birds commit suicide constantly on that car. They just fly out in front of it as I'm driving down the road. I think in the space of a month, I killed 5 birds. And we're talking pigeons, we're talking pheasants. They just all commit suicide in front of my car. I'm just driving the road, and they'll just go right out in front of me. No chance to stop. Boom.
That's fantastic.
The amount of feathers I've had to pull out my front grill of dead poultry. A pigeon got stuck in there once. It was dead when I got there. I had to sort of peel away the thing and gradually unhinge his pigeon and chuck it away. I was like, for crying out loud, will you birds stop committing suicide on my car?
Our survey says no.
That car has been a lot of luck for me recently, really, in the last 2. I've had it 2 years. I've had far more problems with it in 2 years, and I had my Freelander, which was made by Land Rover, which are a notoriously unreliable manufacturer. I've had far more problems with that car.
Do you remember when you said to me? Right, now I remember having a conversation with you, Ram, saying, well, let's get into that age, and there comes a time when it's going to cost more money than sense, really, to keep it on the road, so I might as well get a new car, because at least then... You're feeling a bit daft now, ain't you?
Well, you say that, but I could not anticipate suicidal birds. That's not something you anticipate. When I look for the car things, that doesn't come up on the reviews. No one puts in the reviews. On average, this car will kill 6 birds a year. No one puts it on their reviews. It's clearly a blind spot in the reviewing structure.
Well, I was going to say, you should make a complaint there. How many birds am I likely to hit?
You get your NCAP rating, you get all those test rating stuff. They don't have a bird suicide rating. Airliners get a bird suicide rating for their engines. I don't get one for my car. That's ridiculous. They don't put on there... If they don't put on there susceptibility to having a chipped windscreen if a lorry hits it with a stone, that doesn't go on your face. So all the stuff that's gone wrong. The tyres are wear and tear. Tyres, you replace tyres, that's normal. Cam belt was due to be done anyway because it was at the right age. I happened to buy the Freelander just after I had it done, so I avoided the cam belt, which I found on that would be £850 to have it done on the Freelander. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad I avoided that one. It's just. The actual reliability of the vehicle was fine. Everything's happened to it. It's been other things. Oh, and the underneath is basically dismantled because all the protections underneath, because I've been driving off-road, has gradually been pulled off. And it's gradually disappearing. It's fine, though. It's only made of foam anyway, so I'll just put it off in the trunks.
Like I say, I'm just thinking to myself, but surely had he have kept the other thing,
well, you see, after I sold it, it went then decided it was a Land Rover again. and it's currently in a car garage, and they can't figure out what's wrong with it.
Oh, there you go. Always
they know it won't start. It's got a battery on it. The engine refuses to start, but they cannot figure out what's wrong with it. They looked it up. They put their little code reader on it. It had something like 80 codes on it.
That's
But you know, it's going to be what? It's probably going to be one thing that's cascading errors.
Mm-hmm.
So it's equivalent of missing a semicolon off in code. It's just causing hundreds of errors. It's actually just one thing that's caused it. So, yeah, cars, great. They're nice and wonderful. You're smart, smart man. There aren't many things in life that you buy that all they are once you buy them is just a constant money drain. Cars and children are basically the two things that do.
No, you're right. I fucked up with the children thing, I think.
yeah. So I've got cars. You've got kids.
Yeah.
I mean, at least I can put mine in the garage of an evening, lock it in the door, and walk away from it. You can't do that. At least not anymore.
Well, I was going to say I can, but
no, not legally. You can't.
There's an arcade cabinet out there. I'll keep them entertained.
Yeah,
but
just get play on the arcade cabinet, kids.
Then leg it. But look, here's the trick. You know, your car causes you nothing but misery because it's what takes you to and from a place of employment that sucks.
Yeah.
My children don't force me to do that. My job hasn't changed. I just sit here and do what, you know.
Get a bit older, they will be able to commute you around, but obviously they're not strong enough yet to do it. So, give it a few years.
Yeah.
They'll be able to do it for you.
As soon as my children start complaining, they're gone.
No, have you told them that?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Good.
Of course I have. I'm an honest dad. I don't lie to my children. I don't lie to people. When I think something sucks, they know about it.
Dad, look at this lovely picture I drew of you. That's fucking rubbish, son.
That's fucking terrible, mate. Try harder.
It's not to scale. The perspective is all off, and you've used 3 colours. Why have I got purple hair? I've had purple hair for years. This is ridiculous. Try again.
Yeah, do it again.
Yeah.
See this?
Until you come back with a proper portrait in oils, I'm not interested.
Yeah, no breakfast until you do.
Yeah. You're basically Ace Wimmer's dad, aren't you, really?
Yeah, pretty much.
Fair enough. Anyway, on to other games.
Yeah, what have you been playing, Ram?
I've been playing House Flipper.
Wait.
So,
go on.
So, if you're not aware of the term, it's what we would call in the UK property developers. So, people who buy a house, it's in a shit state, they gut it, do it up, make it all nice, and sell it on for profit. And House Flipper, that's what you do. You're a
wanker, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. You start off with you haven't got any money to your name. All you've got is a little shack that you live in, with a bed, a desk, and a laptop, and a real basic kitchen unit in there, and just real basic, like one room bedsit type flat type place where you.
I didn't realise this game was based on my life.
It is, yeah. It says so. So this is Skazz. This is based on Skazz's former living arrangements.
There you go. Now,
and yes, we start, and you basically have to. Basically, you go off, and you'll get your laptop has you're basically sort of a handyman / property developer. So you have a business where you go off and you'll just do jobs for people. So you'll go to someone will email and say, "Oh yeah, I want these rooms repainted," and you'll go there, and you have to buy the right color paint they asked for, get your rollers out and repaint the room bit by bit. And you can do other things you can do. So you might have to do perhaps get with some old furniture, put new stuff in place, fit radiators and stuff. Like they want some radiators installed, you have to go and install them for them, or install new bathroom fixtures, for example. Which is quite neat because actually the installation process, it's like a little mini game. So you have to say when you install a radiator, put it on the wall, but then you have to assemble it. So you have to put the valves in place, screw the valves on, open them all up, and get it all running. And when you install a shower, you have to set the feet up, put the base down, install the waste pipes, and screw it all on, connect it all together, and plumb it all up and make it work. It's quite neat, actually. You had to do it. That assembly phase, I've got difficulty levels called easy, medium, and hard. I've tried on all three. I can't understand. I don't know what that does. It doesn't make any difference at all to it.
That's just something to trick you. You
Yeah,
do it on hard mode, you feel so smart, and then you do the exact same job on easy, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so stupid."
Yeah, I honestly don't think it does a single thing. So you have to you might have to do some cleaning. You've got there's cleaning. You have a brush that you can clean stuff with, and you can clean windows. You've got those window vacs things. Have you seen those window vacs things? Yeah, you've got those to clean the windows with. So you could paint, you could put walls up, you could do demolition. You get a sledgehammer, you can smash walls down and build new walls up. So each house, it's almost like a light Minecraft-esque way of working. So that the outside of the house, you can't do anything with. The actual outer shell, it's fixed. Inside, however, is all modular. So every wall is its own component and so forth. So you can smash out walls. You can put walls back in any location you want. It's very flexible internally what you can do. You can do an awful lot with it. It's the outer shell you can't do anything with.
Sure.
Because the main sort of meat of it is basically you buy a house cheap, like it's been got fire damage, and you buy it really cheap, and you go in. And that's the whereas before, where you go to other people's houses, also you get told what you have to do, and if you go off spec, either the game won't let you. So if you try dump something that you're not meant to dump, the game will say no. Couldn't possibly do it. It will stop you doing it. But you can still do things like you can paint. If you paint a room the wrong color, you don't get penalised for it, but you don't complete the level. It just will say your job is to paint this room this color. You haven't done it. Well, you haven't done it, so you can't complete the job. Interestingly, when you're doing those little jobs, you don't have to. You've got so often when you go to a place, you'll have one main job to do, and then there'll be little sub jobs in other rooms to do. So if you go to different, so let's say your job is to clear the garage out, and then once you clear the garage, you go to the main house, and they'll be I need this electrical socket fixed in this room, and you can fix the electrical socket by replacing it and putting new ones in and wiring it all up. And they'll get all jobs. But you have this little progress bar, and about 3/4 of the way along, it's like a little mark. And once you reach 3/4 of the way along the progress bar, at that point, you can actually complete the job and leave the mission. You can just say, I'm done, I've completed, I can tick this one off as complete. Even if you haven't actually, ironically, finished your main job. So, I got to one where I knocked down 2/3 of the room walls. I haven't put the new walls up yet. And because I'd done all the other little jobs first, I said, "Oh yeah, you've done enough. Now you can go home if you want." Well, he hired me to knock down these 2 walls. I've only done 2/3 of them, so maybe I should finish that first before I go anywhere else. I mean, obviously, I wish this job 100% completion. A, because I'm anal, and B, that I'd feel guilty not finishing the job I've been hired to do. I don't want to get on Builders from Hell equivalent of in this universe. I don't want to get on that program. And it's easy money. It's ridiculous. Knock down 2 walls, I get paid 10 grand. It's amazing.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Clearly, we're in the wrong business.
Yeah, clearly we are. I go to someone's house, get rid of a load of rubbish. They pay me 2 grand for the privilege. This is marvelous.
So, question: what made you pick this game up?
I honestly have no idea. It just appeared up on Steam. It's that looks interesting.
And you went for it. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I saw you playing it. I was like, okay, this is random. Ram's playing a game about being a jackass. What platforms is it on?
It's definitely on PC. I don't know if it's on FPS.
I mean, but is it Windows, Mac, Linux? Is it cheap? Is it?
Let me have a look. See what's it on. How's the game? It's on PS4, Xbox One.
Oh wow!
See, yeah, surprising. Let's have a look. So I'll just look up on Steam for you. Library store page. I mean, it's surprisingly popular for people. It's got overwhelmingly positive reviews, which on Steam is usually fairly. Not many games manage that. Let's see. Platforms. Doesn't mention. Here we go. Just Windows, I'm afraid.
Oh, what a shame.
What a shame. I'm sorry. So, where's that one there? Yeah. So, the meat of the game is, though, you buy a house, and it's usually a shithole when you get there. Like, everything is dirty, it's rough. You have to strip all that, and then basically you can just do it however you want. But this is where it gets a little bit weird. So, when you go to a place, on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll get these little pictures up of these people who might buy the house. And whilst you're doing it, they'll give you little comments on what you're doing, which seems to imply that the whole time you're doing the house up, they're standing over your shoulder watching you.
I was going to say, like...
it's like, I went into the bathroom of this house, deleted everything, and all of a sudden a message got saying, this place hasn't got a bathroom. That's terrible. I couldn't possibly consider it. It's like, I'm not ready to send it to you yet.
Do you think maybe you're going a little too in-depth with it? The game's just like, why do you just delete the entire bathroom? All you want to do is for him to put a layer of paint on the damn thing.
The bathroom looks shit.
Yeah, that's not up to you, is it? It's up to the people that are buying it.
Yeah, well, it's obviously, but I haven't put the house on the market, but the whole time it is, and you'll get like little likes and dislikes, and you'll sort of gradually, and some people have very weird tastes.
So what is this, the YouTube comment fucking section?
It is basically, yeah, it is. So you strip all that. So yeah, you basically go. So my usual method that I go in, clear all the rubbish out, clean all the rooms up, clear all the windows. And then, like the one I'm doing at the moment, I've literally just deleted all the internal walls and style like with a fresh slate. Put in new bathroom fixtures.
It's even ripped out the load bearers.
There are no load bearing walls, fortunately. It's all on the external walls.
Oh, I was going to say, that would have been fucking magic. That would have been absolutely
great.
That would be hilarious. Let's open this. Oh, shit.
Yeah, that would be quite
we've now got incredibly high ceiling.
Yeah, it was a 2-story. But I sort of like, and you sort of get an idea what these people want, so you can sort of almost theme it towards them. So like some people like big open rooms. But the great thing is once you sell the house, you put it up for auction, and these people start to bid on it. And then at the end, it'll tell you who bids the highest, and you can accept their bid, or you can say no, and you can carry on doing more work to it. But the great thing is when you look through the comments they leave about what they dislike and don't like. So the old couple, one of the first houses that I flipped, the old couple who were there said, it's got more than 2 rooms, we don't like it.
So all they wanted was the sex dungeon that you'd put in the basement.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. How do you... So basically, you want a bathroom and everything else. That's basically how I can think of having 2 rooms in a house. So I think we'd all agree that we don't want to see our friends shitting in the living room. So I think we'd all agree that I'd like to think we'd all agree that would be the case. But yeah, and then the one guy commented, "I don't see why I need a kitchen for."
Well, I mean, let's be fair, mate. I mean, he might be a Just Eat reviewer.
He might be. But where's he going to unpack all his Just Eat?
In the living room.
Can't do that. That's uncouth.
Well, clearly that makes me uncouth then.
Exactly, it does. You scallywag.
You heathen.
Yeah. You unpack it in the kitchen because then you think you've cooked.
Oh, I don't need to trick myself into doing that, mate.
Yeah. So it's great. So you do all this work and you end up selling the house about 10 grand more. And it's like, so I sell this house, I'd make 10 grand on this property, and if I could just knock down 2 walls of some random person's house, I get the same amount of money. Why am I doing this again? Well, it is quite nice. It's basically, if you're one of the people who used to play The Sims, but really you hated the sim part of it, just enjoyed the house building part of it, this game sort of tries that because it's like literally just building the houses.
I might have to get this for Inky.
I
think she's playing Sims 4 right the fuck now.
I think she probably would like it as well because you can be very creative with it. You know, there's quite a lot of like choices. You've got so much choice over tiling and flooring. You have to sort of like do a lot of the sort of like I'm calling the handyman missions. You've got to do quite a few handyman missions, sort of like because they are the ones that unlock more tools. So when you first start, all you can basically do is clean. Basically just clean stuff. That's all you can really do. Then you unlock how to do painting. Then it's like demolition and putting walls up. Then you unlock tiling, so you can do tiling and lay tile floors, lay tile walls. I think the last thing you unlock is plastering, but I've not come across that yet. Now, the game comes with 2 free DLC. It comes with a Cyberpunk DLC, which is all like weird futuristic stuff. That's nothing to do with Cyberpunk Race. There's not a time with that. It's just Cyberpunk DLC. And it has the, what do they call it? Apocalypse DLC or something like it's called. Basically, it's for preppers. So you can go like people who've got houses with bunkers in them, and like you have like sort of get them ready for like prep, like stock up. You could like in your little like you have like a little tablet that has like a store where you can buy all the stuff from, and it's got sections in there for like survival, and there's like camp reserves, machine guns, and all this sort of stuff is in there. You can buy and pop in the house you're doing up. And
I've just had a look. Wow, mate, that game is it's 25 quid.
I got it on sale, I think.
It is on sale.
I haven't paid that much for it.
It's £10 for just the base game, and for everything unlocked.
Oh, right, yeah. I just bought the base game initially.
Oh, fair enough.
But I did buy the DLC, the Garden DLC.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you, that annoyed me a little bit because so when you go to these properties, they have like most of the outside. When you go to like your own properties, the ones you're developing up, the outside garden's just like rough and overgrown and so forth. You can't do anything about it
without the DLC.
Yeah, that is a little bit kicking the teeth. Because like, well,
that's cheeky. That's really cheeky.
Very cheeky. Now, whether it's so that the feature wasn't implemented at the start and they added it in later, but it should have been a free DLC. And what else is cheeky about it is that just to prove a point, when you buy the DLC, nothing updates. There's no update to it. It literally just a little triple goes, you got the DLC now.
It's an unlock key. It's an unlock serial. Yeah,
it is. I don't like that. I find a bit distasteful.
That's common as fuck on consoles.
Yeah. It's very. I found that very. Yeah, it's maybe that's where it sort of inherited itself from. It's like, but it's clearly all here. Maybe you did it as an update later on. You added it in, but then put the DLC place to unlock it. But you clearly intended this because the guns all look shit.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like, I'm not sure I like this. I wasn't too keen. I mean, because the OCD part of me wants things to look nice.
Yeah.
So selling a house where the garden looks shit doesn't work. So I had to buy DLC to make the gardens look nice. So because I just don't want a shit looking house.
They got you, Ram. They got you.
I know they got the LCD part because it's just so nice to have everything looking perfect and pristine. And
I was going to say, well, I'm glad you said that because if I was to buy it for Inky, I think I'd have to buy the full pack.
Yeah,
I don't think she'd stand for the fact that she couldn't do anything to the garden.
Yeah, that was. I thought I was quite that blemished the whole game for me. Other than that, though, actually, it's surprisingly fun and relaxing because it's not a game where you're going to be thinking hard about what you're doing. It's a game where you can just sort of like yes, I got back from 5 to 8. I was knackered from being there, but I didn't get back to nearly 4 o'clock. I'm only meant to be there till 11. I didn't get back to 4 o'clock in the end because of the snow and weather. I know you just throw it on, and I don't really have to think too much about what I'm doing. And there are some parts of it, like when you're doing your interior design, you're just like, oh, I'm going to put this over here. But it's nothing super taxing. It's a nice, relaxing game, but it's also strangely addictive. I mean, as soon as this podcast's over, I'm loading it back up as this podcast. So I've nearly finished the house I'm on. I want to finish it. If anyone's interested, I have done a couple of streams on Twitch of me playing the game.
Oh, were you playing it? Because I didn't have any notification to say you went live.
Did you not? That's interesting. No. So if you look at my Twitch stream, you'll see me playing.
Mate, if I'd have known, I'd have been there taking the piss.
I had one person randomly join my Twitch stream for like 5 minutes, and they put in the Twitch chat, donated £250, and then left. And I was very confused by that message. I'm not sure what they were on about.
Yeah, but, bless them.
Yeah. It's like, okay, you donated £50. That's nice. Who have you donated it to?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, me, man.
To me, if you've noticed me, thank you very much. I'll be very pleased with that. But somehow, I don't think you have. Given that your Twitch account is like 10 minutes old, I somehow doubt it.
Oh.
So, but yeah, you can check it out now. We're up there for food. At least, well, by the time this podcast's out, you have about a week left to watch them.
Sure.
So, but yeah, I've been quite I've really enjoyed it.
Oh god.
So it's never going to win a Game of the Year awards, but it's just strangely. I don't know how I can sort of put it in. I suppose it's sort of like I didn't like Stardew. I didn't like it, but I can see why people would like it.
Yeah.
I would say this is probably the similar category where it's just about, it's nice, you're just doing something up and making things look better, and then you sell and make a little bit of money. It's about there's nothing nasty happens, nothing disastrous happens in it. In fact, the worst thing you do is accidentally turn the sink on while you're installing it, and you get a little bit of water on the floor. And you have to clear it up.
Oh, mate,
that's about it. So but it's relaxing. I've also heard people say that it's very popular to play in, like, people play it in like pairs. So like some they'll like sort of like one person will be like doing the design, somebody else will be doing like sort of the actual physical stuff. They'll sort of like taking turns designing it and stuff. It's been quite popular for that. So. Yeah, it's a neat little. It's a real neat little game. So it's definitely what I'd say is a sale game. Pick up on sale rather than because it is quite. I do think it's.
I think even on sale, that's pretty fucking expensive. £25.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a lot of stuff in it. To be fair, there is quite a bit in it to do, and as you sort of progress on, a lot of the bigger builds have got a lot of things you do, and there's a fair bit to do. To be fair, apart from the garden, obviously, at first.
Mm-hmm.
But. So I say you can at least dabble the base game for a tenner. You can at least dabble with that at the moment, or 15 quid if I think it's normal prices. So you can dabble with that and then get the idea if you don't want to spend the 25 quid, but you shouldn't have to spend the 25 quid. That should have been there from the start.
Let's quickly look something up. So let's have a look. Oh wow, okay, yeah, maybe not. I just went to have a look to see if anywhere else has it. Cheaper than on Steam at the moment. No, it's basically £15 flat, so you have to be willing to pay maybe £10 ain't terrible then.
No, not. I said for the base game, I didn't think that's too bad. I was just a bit disappointed that I had to buy the DLC for.
Sure, fair enough. Like I say, I might have to pick it up for the wife.
I think she'd enjoy it. I think she would enjoy it. If she likes sort of like doing people's house up in The Sims, she would like this.
She spent most of last night designing a house in Sims 4.
She would enjoy this.
Sure.
There is one other disappointment that you can't do. And I know why you can't do it. I understand totally why you can't do it, why they've not implemented this as a feature.
All right. Go on.
The house's shell is fixed. You cannot change it. So when you go, you can't think, oh, I'll extend this house out in this direction. You can't. The shell, the internals, you can do whatever you like with. The actual shell of the building is fixed. That I understand because obviously it's fairly straightforward. It's clearly a big team doing this. It's clearly not a massive team who's making this game. It's fairly straightforward to make something that, when you're inside a building, you know the dimensions of it. You know all your walls are going to fit. You know things. Outside, you've got to make some system whereby the roofs can calculate and fit properly. It's fair. That's quite a complicated job and quite an intensive job to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand totally why they've not done that and not let you do it that way. It's just it's a bit disappointing. You'd like to be able to do it, but I know I totally get why they don't let you.
Sure. Okay.
And I think I was just put in the group of it's fair enough that they don't let you do it because it's simply I just having been down with game work development so forth, I could just see the headache that would be involved. Not impossible, clearly, because Maxis did it obviously, but they had a lot bigger team than these guys obviously have. So it's a fairly more complicated thing to do.
No, I get you.
Yeah. Yeah, House of but yeah, I say on Steam sale, I would say pick it up. I wouldn't pick it up at full price at the moment.
Sure.
Right then, that'll be me, Skazz.
Is that it?
Yeah, well, unless you want to tell you about a terrible film I watched, and other than that,
It's entirely up to you, mate.
I want to say, don't bother watching the film. I've forgot the name of the title of it now. Oh, it's got such a weird title.
That's how good it was.
Is it this now? Yes. Don't bother watching the film Now You See Me. Don't bother.
That's ancient.
That's about 2016.
That's ancient.
You think that's ancient? Bloody hell, Skazz.
In terms of fucking films, mate.
2030. Fucking hell, that is quite a long ago. Yeah, it's shit though. I only watched it last week. I was not impressed.
Oh, good call. Yeah, done.
7.3 on IMDb. Who are these people? Yeah, it was just a disappointment from start to finish. It's just the premise is nice. I liked the premise. I thought it sounded quite interesting. You know, 4 magicians are going to get recruited to do a heist, but then you never see them again. You basically you see them at the start. They all get recruited, and you see them all meeting up, having a little bit of like interaction, and then that's it. That's as far as they ever go. You only ever see them like do their big stage productions. I love that it just basically follows the FBI after that. It's like, well, they're more interesting characters.
There's a sequel.
There is a sequel. That's actually less bad than the first one. I watched the sequel yesterday. That's actually better. So the sequel follows the actual. So the first one, these magicians are recruited. They're asked to go basically form a heist. That's all the start of it. It then cuts to them doing one of their big stage shows, and they rob a bank. They actually rob a bank. And then no one knows how they actually achieved it, so then the FBI get involved because they actually do rob a bank. They actually do rob a bank, but all the money disappears and the bank gets robbed. And the FBI have to sort of do it. They intervene, they let them go, and then these guys go off and do another. Say they're going to end up doing another heist. Because all you ever see them at that point on is just their backgrounds doing it. You just see them like doing their sort of performance part. You don't see them interacting anymore, so their characters never get built up. The only characterization gets in the first 10 minutes, and that's it.
Sure. And
they also seem to muck things up. So they introduce you to the characters. You've got like a stage magician, proper stage magician, like big sort of overt, sort of like your. I don't really know actually, magicians to be honest with you, but proper like stage. You know, be honest, you'd see on the television type stage magician. You've got a mesmerist. You've got some guy who's like sort of more of a street magician who's out and about, and he's obviously not hit big time. He's sort of like using it to hustle people, like steal off them, and like he uses it to like rob people wallets and so forth.
Yeah, it's
more of a common magician. And you've got this woman who's like sort of an escape artist and does the big daring escapes. But then they never the mesmerist basically his guy's OP because so many things he solves because he can just hypnotize people. He solves so many of them because it's basically like a one solution fits everything. Any problems. Oh, we'll get the mesmerist to do it. He all solves it all.
Right.
But this is the bit that really struck me afterwards. Was like ridiculous because at one point, I'm sorry, this is spoilers to this film, but trust me, you're not missing out on anything. The young guy, the street magician, gets chased by the FBI in a car, and he ends up rolling the car, and gets trapped in the car, and then it explodes, catches fire, and they pull corpse. Later transpires, he didn't die in the car. He basically did a little escape, sort of. He escaped sort of like certain death. The start of the show shows the woman is the magician who escapes certain. That's her whole thing, as she does these death-defying feats. She wasn't the one who drove the car. So why would you have the person who does this? That's their skill. They're not the one who does it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you've basically written her character off at this point. So you don't think,
but didn't they completely bin her off in the second film anyway?
Yeah, she's gone. Yeah, completely gone. They replaced her with a really annoying character.
Well, there you go. Then.
Really annoying. So it's got Morgan Freeman in it. It's got some big names. It's got Morgan Freeman. It's got Michael Caine in it. Daniel Radcliffe turns up in the sequel. It's not unheard of, but it's just the trouble was it's almost like the film changes halfway through. It starts off being like I thought the premise of let's get four magicians to do a heist, but half fun of a heist film is watching the people prepping for it and not quite giving you all the details, but enough that you think why are they doing this and the build up, and then you see them actually complete it all comes together. That's part of the fun of a heist film. if you like heist films, that's part of the fun of it. When you see these guys who don't do any of that, you just see it all afterwards, what they've done.
Well, yeah, but if you were to see the prep work, then wouldn't that spoil the trick? Because if I ever see a magician properly set up, then I've figured out I don't need to figure out the trick because I've already seen it.
No, but you can do it in such a way that you sort of like they can do things, and you do it as a bigger picture. So they do something like, well, why are they doing this? Why has he gone there and buying that equipment? Doesn't make any sense. Why is he buying that? It doesn't make any sense why he's doing that. But there's a reason why he must be doing it, and then it all comes together at the end. So you take like Ocean's 11
but I think that's the whole reason why the FBI was the focus of that film.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not. They say, if you read the script, it says formations of crew do a heist. It's not what the film's about, though.
Mate, never, ever, ever take on board what Netflix or Amazon says about a film. Ever. They'll give you a couple of lines, and it's usually completely bullshit.
Anyway, so it's following the FBI, and the FBI basically are far more developed, far more interesting characters. And again, they've been one of the characters off in the FBI characters off the second film. It was just. I just didn't like it all the way through. I don't know why I watched the sequel, to be honest. I just like there's nothing else to watch. I want to watch the sequel to it. It just annoyed me. It seemed like they had an idea and they just wasted it completely. The second one is different because they actually develop the character more because it basically follows them more now rather than people chasing them. And it's more interesting because you're actually seeing the guys go. You see basically them preparing for stuff.
But yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think that was kind of interesting. I think that was kind of the point.
Yeah. That's what was more interesting than the first one.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the point.
That's what saying. That's one of the first ones. The first one's not any good. So, but yeah, that was my very brief review. Don't bother watching Now You See Me.
Fair enough.
So I saw my sister about it. She said, I really like the film. I said, you're wrong in every sense of the world. There's a third one in the way. Right.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. I honestly think they've developed it in stages because it's like in some other films that we've spoken about in the past. I'm like, why have they made a third one? Why have they made a fourth one? Why didn't they just wrap it up here? And then you realize it's because they've written them these ways to plan for 16,000 films that no one really wanted.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the Magicians film. They've written it in such a way that there would be no development for the actual magicians. Then they would start tacking on extra bits in the extra films to keep you invested.
Yeah. I'm definitely not invested. That's all I can tell you.
Fair enough.
So. Right, yeah, that's it. So that's my review of my other terrible film. So yeah, you got anything else, Skazz?
No, mate, I'm done.
Fair enough.
I was done an hour and a half ago.
We haven't been broadcasting that long.
I know.
So very much you watching. I'm the Suffolk Graham.
Skazz.
If you've enjoyed, you can check us out again in a fortnight on youtube.com/randnerds. That'll be on the 27th of February at 21:30-ish GMT. You can check us out on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/randnerds. We do our games night every Tuesday. You can check us out on our individual Twitch stream channels. I'm twitch.tv/SuffolkGram
and twitch.tv/Skazzius, SK4ZZI0US.
Yep. And yeah, you can check us on there. And thank you all for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you in a fortnight.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye.